There we go. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee. I can confirm quorum with 6 members currently present. And with all that out of the way, I am very happy to turn it over to you, Madam Chair, noting that there are no members in the public viewing gallery as of right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, let's call this meeting to order. And to get us started this afternoon, I need an approval of the agenda. So can I please have a mover and a seconder? You can just show on the screen with your hand. Great. Moved by Sunita, seconded by Maria. Thank you. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, we're good. Thank you. And next item of business, we need to confirm the minutes as well. So are there any changes required to the minutes that you saw? Looks like none. Okay, great. Can someone please move and someone second so we can confirm those minutes? Thank you. Moved by Natalia, seconded by Ashley. All those in favor? Opposed? Great, that carries. Thank you all. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Nope, seeing none. Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to work 2 screens here. There we go. All right, so we have no delegations, we have no briefings, and so we are on to business. We have an accessibility office update, and we have Derek O'Shea here to speak to us about this. Derek, I will pass it over to you. Thank you.
Excellent, and thank you, Councillor Stephen. I'll give a brief overview of the report, and then I'm happy to answer any questions and receive any comments. So in the City of Kingston, the Accessibility Office and Coordinator role sits within the Office of the City Clerk. So myself, as the Acting Deputy City Clerk, am also the city's Accessibility Coordinator. Within this role, we do a few different things. One of the primary roles is helping to coordinate the city's Municipal Accessibility Advisory Committee. This committee exists to provide advice to council and staff on all things related to accessibility. So it's a committee very similar to this one. It has 15 public members and 1 member of council. Other work the Accessibility Office does is help guide the creation of the multi-year accessibility plan. I'll discuss this a bit more briefly in a moment, but this plan is required under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. And it is a plan that spans over several years, but I'll cover some more details on that in a moment. 2 other aspects the Accessibility Office is responsible for is providing or filing a compliance report every 2 years with the provincial government. This just ensures that we are compliant with all relevant legislation related to accessibility. And last, we also make sure that all city staff, including volunteers, council members, and other persons working for the city receive adequate training in the area of accessibility. So this typically involves the applicable legislation as well as more practical training such as customer service training as well. So I'll briefly move into talking about the multi-year accessibility plan. The current plan runs from this year. It was approved in November of 2022 until 2025. And the purpose of this plan is to set out how the City of Kingston will reduce barriers and improve accessibility to its facilities, programs, and services for persons with disabilities. A link to the plan was included in the report you received. It is organized along 5 principles, and these principles are found in the Integrated Accessibility Standards Regulation, which is the piece of legislation that basically sets out what the city needs to do to meet accessibility requirements. It's organized along information and communication, customer service, employment, design of public spaces, and customer service. So those are the 5 areas, and you'll notice there's several different actions that the city will be taking over the next 3 years to meet the goal of becoming more accessible. And I'll spend one last minute here talking about the specific projects the City of Kingston's Accessibility Office will be taking during that 3-year span. So we are doing a review of some policies. These include the Accessible Consultation Process Policy, which outlines how the city consults with persons with disabilities on projects, facility upgrades, and services that are being provided by the city. Another one is the Accessibility Standards Policy, which is a rather large catch-all and just outlines how the city works with and provides services to persons with disabilities. So this covers things as broad as the design of buildings to ensure physical accessibility, the design and creation of information and communication materials to be accessible, as well as employment standards to ensure all employees have an accessible workplace. Other items, we do include the annual Celebrating Accessibility Awards, which recognizes city residents, businesses, and organizations that go above and beyond to make their services or programs accessible. We also run education campaigns as well. The most recent one ran at the end of May, and it was regarding breaking down of myths regarding service animals. So to try and make the public more informed on the rules and regulations and how to interact with service animals, or as we like to say, how not to interact with service animals. And that pretty much is a high-level summary of the report. I don't think I want to overload people with any more information. So, Councillor Stephen, I'm happy to receive any feedback and answer any questions.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Clerk O'Shea. Any questions from the committee? Sunita, thank you. Go ahead.
I think earlier on, when we started this this committee, I'd mentioned the public parking spaces and how there's a lot of built-in barriers to inclusion within our public parking spots. And I believe, I think either some city staff or one of the councillors said that is an important part of like what the city council is also viewing. So has that been incorporated into this accessibility plan? Because to assume that everybody has an app or a smartphone or a credit card to pay for some of those parking meters, which are now there's a few that don't take any coins or any cash. That was definitely one that I had highlighted, and I'm just kind of wondering, I see people struggle sometimes, and wondered if that had been incorporated. Yeah.
Mr. O'Shea.
Thank you, and through you, Councillor Stephen, happy to provide some more details, Sunita. So it's not incorporated within the plan itself, but the key thing with the plan is it's a living plan in that it has an annual update that is done to it every single year. So if something is missing or something comes up that is done by city staff, it's not precluded because it's not in the plan. And with specific regard to your comments, there is actually a report. It came to the Accessibility Advisory Committee last month regarding accessibility and parking. Now, granted, that one is more focused on terms of time limitations and fees for parking and how to make those more accessible to persons who may have a disability. But I can tell you there was some information included in that regarding how the physical structures of the payment options are being made more inclusive as well. So there is some work coming up on that, and you will see some information coming to City Council on that before the end of the year. So definitely being included, even though it might not be found in the accessibility plan.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the committee? No, I'm seeing none. Okay, Derek, thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. All right, folks, we are moving on to Intercultural Arts Festival 2023 planning, and we have Vanessa Mensah here to speak to this. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair, through you. I'm just here to provide you with a brief update about what we've been working on with the Intercultural Arts Festival. And so the city of Kingston has the support of the Kingston Immigration Partnership, as well as many other community partners to promote the initial call out for participants. We have various representation and of course an inclusive range of folks wanting to engage in this celebration. And so we have about 15. So we have, just looking at my other form here, just bear with me, please. We have artists that we have curated who are going to be performing on the main stage. We also have different folks who have expressed wanting to do workshops, educational workshops, as well as pavilions as well too. And so we have a wide range from, folks who are doing work within just, workshops around educational, around their culture, to dance, to food, to performances, and lots of excitement around what is coming up in September. And so we're continuing to work with the community members. We have different ways of engaging with them and ensuring that they have the right tools that they need to, and breaking down the barriers to ensure that they are going to be successful in being part of this event this year.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. I'm just switching to first names. I hope you guys are okay with that. If not, let me know. It's just a little bit easier. Are there any questions from the committee about the Intercultural Arts Festival? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, can I just ask a question, or do I need to pass the chair?
Absolutely, you're free to ask questions.
Okay, thank you. So I have one question for you. You mentioned there's a lot of diversity in the folks who are wanting to attend, which is great. I was wondering if you could tell us some of the groups that have already signed up for the Arts Fest. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that, Madam Chair. Through you, we have folks from the Chinese Association, Canadian Association of Kingston. We also have the Arab Society of Kingston. We have Kingston School of Dance, Japanese community, Nepal Association, Scottish Pipe Bag. We have the Pakistani Canadian Association, who will be performing on the main stage. In terms of the workshop, we have a drag queen group that will be doing some workshops. We have the Egyptian Student Association, who are also going to be doing a workshop, as well as grandmother Kathy, who will be speaking on behalf of the Indigenous community for a workshop. For the pavilion, we have, again, Kingston, Nepal, who are going to have a pavilion and sell some food and also offer some educations at their pavilion. We'll have Kingston Latino. We also have Happy Habaha. If I've said that correctly, I apologize. We have the Kingston Malaysian Association as well, too, who are going to be providing, doing some food as well as education at their table. We have Great Panda. We also have some members of the African community, Mold Bites, as well as Ella's Cuisine. We have also the South Asian community as well, too, that's going to be providing pavilion and also a workshop.
Okay, great turnout. Are you still accepting applications?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and so that leads to my next question. How can our committee members help amplify and get more groups or people to sign up? Is there anything that we could be doing to help?
Certainly, I could certainly just through our Mr. Clerk here, I could forward the information that we sent out to the community. There was a press release that went out. Okay, there's a press release that went out, and we also had an expression of interest, so folks could express interest and tell us what they need, and including like the barriers that they foresee. So like the city of Kingston has made the kitchen facilities available for folks to be able to cook if they don't have access to a restaurant or like a commercial kitchen that they would need to cook out of. And so looking at, just breaking down some of those barriers. And so we can certainly send that over to the committee, and then the committee can use their contacts outside.
Amazing, thank you. I would love to help amplify this if I can. I see a lot of nodding too, so that's great. One final question, is the communications team at the city on helping advertise this? Or is that coming later, or could they help advertise it if they're not currently, just to get those applications in? Yeah,
so Madam Chair, through you, we did the initial press release. I know that the information is available on the website right now, on the city's website. And I do know that there's a communication strategy that will be rolling out. And so for sure, that's something that we are working on, and we continue to work on that.
I'm excited. Thank you very much. Any other questions from committee? Seeing none? Okay, thank you, Vanessa, very much. So those were just two information reports, so we have nothing we need to vote on there. There are no notices of motion, and does anyone have any other business? I have one thing. Oh, go ahead, Ashley, you go first, please.
Hi, sorry, this is my first time kind of speaking in one of these. So I know in the summer months now, we're not really thinking about winter too much. I hope we're not. But one of the things that I wanted to address was last winter and the couple of winters that I've been here in Kingston, the snow removal. There's a kind of an issue I've noticed like at bus stops with like elderly people or people in wheelchairs. wanting to get onto the bus, but there's a big, from the snow removal, big kind of piles of snow, so they're unable to access the bus. And just like things like that, just like strollers on sidewalks. So I don't know if that can, I feel like that's an accessibility issue. So I just wanted to mention that and see where, if anyone else was noticing that or if something can be done.
Sure, thanks, Ashley. Does anyone from staff want to respond? Derek, go ahead, thanks.
Councillor Stephen, sorry. Yep, and through you. So the city does have standard requirements for removal of snow on sidewalks as well as bus stops. So and I will speak candidly that this is the biggest issue we deal with in the accessibility office in the winter is removal in those areas for safety and pedestrians. The one difficulty, and this is not an excuse, but the reality of the situation is there are standards that need to be followed from the provincial government. And unfortunately, those standards do give preference to clearing the roads first. That's often a question we get is, why don't you do the sidewalks before the roads? So I can say that staff has been making improvements in this area and devoting more resources in terms of person power and equipment to clear the sidewalks. So the biggest thing we also state is, if you see a barrier that is obvious and perhaps it's an area that has been missed or a bus shelter that has been missed, is to report it through the city's contact us. That way it can be followed up on directly by staff. But that's a very good comment, Ashley, and something we are working on. So I appreciate you mentioning that, though.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Ashley? No? Okay, thanks. Abraham, I see you. Go ahead, thanks.
Yeah, Madam Chair. With your permission, I would like to raise a question here. The thing is that, we all know that the demography of Kingston is changing, and it's ever changing. It's in the recent years, it's been changing a lot. So do we have any info available on the diversity in the leadership positions, especially in the city of Kingston or in the government sector? And even in the private sector, do we have any info available about the diversity in the leadership positions?
Okay, thank you. Is there a staff member who could respond?
So through you, Madam Chair, that is quite a large question, especially for other business. What we can do is flag it for the next meeting, and staff can see if we can try to bring something along those lines to the next meeting.
Abraham, does that sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it sounds fair.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Anything else you'd like to ask?
That's it for mine.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
No problem. Sunita, go ahead. Thank you.
Through you, Chair Stephen. That was a great question, by the way, by Abraham, and I'm hoping that at least to get those stats for the cities as a corporation, perhaps shouldn't be as complicated as it would be for other organizations. And yeah, it would be great to know what is the diversity in the senior leadership at the municipality. So just wanted to amplify that voice, and I know Ian's already spoken to that, but.
With your permission, Chair, thank you, Sunita, to support that. And again, the city can show an example to other organizations. The larger demography in Kingston. So that's why I brought this up.
Okay, thanks, Abraham. If I may, I just have one thing I'd like to ask the clerk, Ian. I'm wondering if it's possible to get our pronouns on the screen for EDI meetings, and if so, do you need something from us? Like, would you like us to email you, or how would that work?
Yes, so through you, Madam Chair, if that is totally acceptable, that's actually easier. It makes my life easier for minutes because then I don't have to assume. So that's actually a really great idea. So what I would like everyone to do in that case is to just send me a quick email on your preferred pronouns, so then I can ensure that that's captured in the minutes properly and on screen as well, because I don't want to make any assumptions. So I want to make sure that you guys send me what you would like to be shown on screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other business? Seeing none. Okay, so there is no correspondence, if I'm understanding, and we have the date of our next meeting, which will be Monday, August 28th, 2023 at 1 p.m. and that will be taking place on Zoom again. So we are now moving on to adjournment. So I need a mover and a seconder, please. Great, Maria, moved by Maria, seconded by, oh, sorry, the screen just changed. Oh, Omalara, you have your hand up to second, thank you. All those in favor? And anyone opposed? Okay, thank you, everyone.